Hello and welcome to the Aunty Lisa show. Today I've got helicopter, Gru, which means I have to do Gru's voice, a map, Owen and the jungle. Technically it was Sky's helicopter, but I don't know if I can be bothered to put Sky in it. One day, Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer decided to go on a trip with Owen to the deepest, darkest depths of the jungle in a place called Borneo, because Aunty Lisa has been there before and it is lovely. Well, the bits of jungle that are still there are lovely. So, they packed a bag and they were all set to go. They had borrowed Sky's helicopter for the mission because she's very generous like that, and lent them it. And they were ready to go to the jungle to see all the different animals. So they got inside the helicopter and set off on their way. Well, when they got to the jungle, it was quite a long way, by the way, to the jungle, and you wouldn't normally fly by helicopter, but we did. So when they got to the jungle, it was super crazy hot. Stepping out of the helicopter was like walking into an oven on the steam setting. It was like walking into, I don't know, an oven on the steam setting. You know what I mean. Really hot and really humid. And everyone was like, I'm melting. Why do we come here? It's too hot. Aunty Lisa said, oh, come on. You'll be fine. So they decided to go on a special trip to see all the cool animals that live in the jungle of Borneo. And they landed just on the outskirts of some beautiful jungle and the river called the Kinabatangang River. And that's not a made-up name. That's the real name of the river. And they started to go looking for, not dinosaurs, because they don't have dinosaurs there anymore. They were looking for orangutans, which are the coolest animals in the jungle. Possibly alongside the elephants. There are actual elephants that live in the jungle there too. And there are monkeys that have the most enormous noses. They have noses that are like this. Massive, ginormous noses. And they are called proboscis monkeys. And they are cool. Well, off they went. Owen, Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer all headed into the jungle. Well, it wasn't long before they were completely and utterly lost. I mean, completely lost. Everywhere they turned, they thought, haven't we been here before? Oh no, we should have brought a map, or better still, a guide. You should always, always, always bring a local guide when you go into the jungle, because they know where they're going. And there's not always a map to be found. Now, luckily, this is the modern day era, and Aleksander and Kristoffer both had mobile phones. And so they decided to call for help. And they used those mobile phones to call a good friend of theirs who happened to be travelling nearby. And that good friend is called Gru. And so they called him up. And Gru said, hello guys. And Aleksander and Kristoffer said, oh hi Gru, how are you? He said, I'm a bit hot. I'm here in Borneo and it's melting hot. All I can do is sit in the cool, cool, cool river all day. I'm so hot. And Aleksander and Kristoffer said, we're too hot too. It was Aunty Lisa's idea to visit here. She didn't tell us it was going to be so hot. I feel like our faces are going to melt off. And Gru said, oh, you're here in Borneo too? Wow, that's great, you guys. Aunty Lisa said, yeah, it's great, except for... Owen chirped up. We're lost, said Owen. We're lost in the jungle. We don't know where we are. Do you reckon you could help us out? And Gru went, oh man, I'll have to get out of this lovely cool river if I need to help you out. But, okay. Do you have GPS? Aunty Lisa went, oh yeah, GPS tracking. Hold on a minute. And she checked on Aleksander's phone. Oh! Yes, we do. We do have GPS tracking. Bruce said, okay, send me the coordinates. I'll come and get y'all. I've got a bit American, don't know why. Anyway, they said, brilliant, we'll do just that. Ping! And so they sent Gru the coordinates of where they were in the jungle. Oh, what a relief to know that someone helpful was on their way. Meanwhile, Owen's tummy was rumbling and he said, right, everybody, we need to eat some snacks because I am getting hangry. And Aunty Lisa said, good point. I'm getting tangry. Aleksander and Kristoffer said, what's tangry? Aunty Lisa said, it's when you need a cup of tea and it makes you feel a bit angry. And they said, okay, let's set up a mini camp right here and we will make you a cup of tea, Aunty Lisa. And Owen, shh, you can have some snacks. Well, they went and foraged for wood to make a beautiful fire. And they all were gathering wood when Kristoffer noticed something strange in the undergrowth. He said, psst, Aleksander, come and look at this. Aleksander said, what is it? What is it? Kristoffer said, it looks like a rolled up piece of paper. Aleksander said, uh-huh. Kristoffer said, yeah, a rolled up piece of paper. You know what that means? Aleksander looked at him blankly. Kristoffer said, well, what if it's a map? And Aleksander said, ooh, I do like maps. Hang on. Bit of chocolate left over there. Well, they peered down and down and down, and the rolled up bit of paper was inside a plastic bottle with the lid on, and the plastic bottle with the lid on was inside a hole. And they peered down into the hole and reached and reached and reached and reached and just about touched it. And then it skittered away. No, we've got to get that. What if it's something super exciting? So they reached and they reached and they reached some more, and they both tumbled into a great big hole. Ah! Ow, ow, ow. They were both injured. Meanwhile, Aunty Lisa and Owen were eating snacks and drinking tea quite happily. They had no idea that Aleksander and Kristoffer had tumbled into a hole to try and grab a bottle. Well, as luck would have it, the bottle itself, when they did finally find it at the bottom of the hole, did have a map in it. Yes, it did. It had a very, very, very special map in it. It was a map that showed where some dinosaur bones had been found. Some top secret dinosaur archaeological dig that had been going on in the jungle. What? Dinosaur curveball. Well, they were so excited to find this map, but then realised, oh no, stuck at the bottom of a hole. This is a bit of a disaster. Yikes. So they quickly went, help, help. Aunty Lisa and Owen were having such a lovely time chatting away, they didn't hear them. Help, help, we're at the bottom of a hole, hole, hole. Oh man, they shouted and shouted and shouted, and then Aleksander said, oh, hang on a minute, I've got my phone. I'll ring her. What a silly Billy. He called up Aunty Lisa. He said, Aunty Lisa, we've fallen down a hole. Aunty Lisa said, oh, for goodness sake. Well, lucky for you, I've got my cup of tea and I feel much better. Owen and I will come and look for you. Before long, they had found the hole and they peered down into it. Oh, man, said Owen. What are we going to do? How are we going to get you two out of that ginormous hole? And Aleksander said, yeah, but, we found a map and it shows where some secret dinosaur bones are in the middle of the jungle. It's a top secret location. It says on it, top secret, but we have found it. Said Aunty Lisa, that does sound intriguing. I suppose we should get you out of that ginormous hole you've fallen into. But how? They looked around the jungle and they said, well, did anyone bring any rope? Nobody had brought any rope with them. It was going to be quite a pickle getting them out of that hole. Until that is, they saw some monkeys swinging by. That's not the noise monkeys make. Monkeys go, a bit like that. Wow, look at those cool monkeys swinging by. And they were swinging on some vines. That's right, yes, vines. And they said, okay, you can use the vines to pull you out of the hole. Brilliant. Should have thought of that straight away. So Aunty Lisa and Owen got some really, really, really long vines, twisted them together, and flung it down in the hole. And Kristoffer and Aleksander hauled their way out of the hole with their prize of the bottle. And they showed it to Aunty Lisa and Owen. I said, wow, this really does look like an exciting dinosaur find, said Owen. I came to the jungle to see wild animals. I didn't think I was going to find an archaeological dig that was top secret. How cool is this? If only we knew where we were. We might just be able to find that dig. Good point, said Aunty Lisa. And they both sat down. They said, another cup of tea? Yeah, another cup of tea. And they went back to the campfire and had another cup of tea and some more snacks. Wow. Luckily, their good friend Gru is smarter than they are. And he had located their position using the satellite navigation software in his helicopter and the coordinates they'd sent them with their GPS tracking system on the phone. And he was waving from his helicopter in no time at all. And they were waving from their fire. Hello, Gru. And he said, okay, I'll send down a rope, all right? And they said, okay, we're just going to put out the fire. So they put out the fire very carefully. You mustn't accidentally burn down rainforests. It's very bad. So they did that. And then they all climbed up into Gru's helicopter. Gru, turns out, is a bit of a crazy pilot, and he took them on an amazing helicopter tour ride all over the place around the forest, and they saw waterfalls and rivers and all sorts of things. And then they got round to the conversation about the bottle they'd found with the secret map that showed the secret location of a secret archaeological dig of a secret new dinosaur bones that had been found. And Gru was like, oh my God, we've got to go find it. That sounds amazing. So they needed to do some detective work because the map didn't have proper locations on it, like map coordinates. It just had key features that you might know if you was a local. So they needed to ask around. And they landed in a nearby village. And all the people in the village were like, whoa, a helicopter, that is so cool. Let's go talk to those people. And they ran over, and luckily some of them spoke English. And they showed them the map, and they were like, oh my goodness, we know where that is. We didn't know there was dinosaur bones there. Aunty Lisa said, well, it would appear so. And the people said, oh my goodness, there's been loads of people going there. They were doing something top secret, but we didn't know what it was. We weren't too happy about it, actually, because they looked like they were going to make a road through there. And Aunty Lisa said, well, that sounds terrible. We don't want a road through the forest. That would be rubbish. It would defeat the object of the forest, being the forest. And they said, yeah, we agree. We love the forest. We use it for collecting food and everything and all the materials we need to live. And so they decided to all go and check out the archaeological dig. Wow. They had to go very super stealthily because they weren't sure if the people who were at the archaeological dig were going to be nice people or nasty people. So they decided to go stealthy, properly, quietly. They trekked through the forest for hours and hours and hours until in front of them they saw a massive clearing and a great big hole. Aunty Lisa said, OMG, there's no way this is just an archaeological dig. I think they're mining. This is really bad for the rainforest. We need to do something quick. And everyone said, you're right, Aunty Lisa. This is not just an archaeological dig. Well, there was some archaeology going on. They could see that there was a dinosaur skeleton being excavated, but that was just on the edge. It looked like they were just trying to get it out of the way so they could do more digging. Everyone had the right hump after seeing all that destruction in the rainforest, and they decided to do something about it. But what? Went back to the village and told everyone there what was going on. And the people were like, what? They've got a dinosaur bones and they're digging up our forest? Ugh, that's bang out of order. We've got to do something about this. So they had a massive meeting of all the people in the village. And Aunty Lisa, Owen, Aleksander and Kristoffer. And Gru. And they said, what are we going to do? We've got to stop these people from mining and digging up a dinosaur secretly that's actually our secret dinosaur. We want to be able to tell the world about it, not them. This was a pickle. So they decided to call... Who do you call in this situation? You can't call the Ghostbusters. It's not a ghost problem. Maybe you could call the police. But what if the police are part of the problem? They decided to call Lucy. Because she's super clever. And they called up Lucy and she said, right, what we've got to do is get loads of evidence. We'll take loads of photos. And we'll tell the newspapers. And then everyone will be like, what? Stop chopping down the forest to dig a giant hole when you haven't told anybody what you're doing. That's very, 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 very naughty. And so that is what they did. They flew over in the now 2 helicopters because they had Gru's helicopter and Sky's helicopter back again. And they flew over and took loads and loads of photos and videos. And all the people on the ground were like, hey, what are those people doing? Arrgh! But Aleksander, Kristoffer, Aunty Lisa, Owen and Gru did not care. And some of the people from the village came along too. And they took loads of photos and they sent them to the newspapers. And the newspapers said, what? This is bang out of order. And they put it on all the front pages of the newspapers and even on the TV news. And everyone said, this is not okay. That company needs to go to jail. And so they stopped the mining company from mining in the middle of the forest where they were not allowed. And they rescued the dinosaur bones too, which it turned out was a new species. And they had the chance to help name it. And they named it, no, I was going to make a really silly name. And they let the people who lived there name it. And they named it after one of their most special animals of the forest. And they named it the orangutan dinosaur. That's right. And anyway, the mining company went to court and they got fined millions and millions of pounds for secretly mining where they were not allowed, and they were banned from Borneo forever. And the people who lived there got to claim the world's first ever orangutan dinosaur, and everyone came from far and wide to see it, and they gained loads and loads of money and made their lives loads better. And then everybody celebrated with a really big disco in the jungle, which you would be surprised, but actually people in the villages around jungles love a disco, and they had loads and loads of dancing and crazy food and cups of tea for Aunty Lisa and Owen. And that is the end of the story. Okay, love you. Night night.